A little bit of a different setting today. I want to take you through my Ido Portal, Locomotion and Calisthenics at home. Now this is a different setting, as I said. It's kind of a house we bought 6 months ago, but I've not actually filmed the workout here. And I've got a few new setups, so should be an interesting way to show you a few more ways to adapt your training with limited equipment or just for calisthenics. So yeah, should be good. We'll get right into it. Now this was just a useless area where we store our bikes so I could get my motorbike out onto the street, but I've, as you can see, put up a pull-up bar there with some gymnastic rings. So it works out to be a good little area just to get some work done. Nice and high, wide enough. But yeah, so basically we're going to start with some compounds. We're going to start with some pull-ups and dips. Get those compounds in first, because essentially you want to make sure you're doing the most dangerous things first, and a lot of the time that is the compounds, where you're using multiple muscle groups, you're dangling off of rings. Maybe a little bit of shoulder inwards rotation is a bit of a danger. So you start with those, and then we'll get into more accessory and movement work later. So just in order to warm up a little bit, I want to start with a couple of dead hangs, just letting my joints and muscles get used to a bit more of a stretch and a load there. So I'm just relaxing all the way down, imagining someone's got a cord or a rope tied around my feet and dragging me down to the floor. You can kind of tilt off one arm, get some good stretching done there. Oh, just prepping the muscles for a bit more intense work in a second. Oh, a little bit of a skin the cat. Oh. I'm just going to start by 4 sets, 6 reps of pull-ups, making sure I'm in a dead hang, pulling all the way up to the top, controlling it down, let the shoulder blades elevate, retracting, pulling straight back up again, pacing it. So this is the eccentric on the way up, where the muscles shorten the tension, and on the way back down, that's the concentric is the way up, eccentric is the way down. So it's important to go on the way down, nice and controlled, with a lot of time under tension, because that's actually where the muscle breaks down and makes you get the hypertrophy, the lengthening of the muscle. Very overlooked with a lot of workouts that people may do, where they go too fast on the way down and not controlled, I guess, on the way up. Super important there. But yeah, around 50-60 seconds on the rest there, and then I will go again. Now basically we just want to rest 50-60 seconds when we've done, 8 to 12 reps, 6 rep, kind of that rep range. What that does is it gives the muscles enough time to get some oxygen and blood back in and get rid of the waste products, the lactic acid, the bad stuff, the CO2. So that just ensures that we can get some good reps done in the later sets we do. If you don't rest, you do risk limiting your form and not getting as much total volume reps across the entire workout done because you get too tired. Rest is super important too. Now, if you're looking for a bit more of a hypertrophy workout, something to build more muscle, get more muscular endurance, something you can do which will be really beneficial after this is to lower the rings down and do Australian pull-ups or inverted rows, where essentially you're leaning back, feet on the floor, and you're rowing yourself up to the rings. Get similar muscles, more of the mid-back, good scapular movement, and it's just a good way to get more volume on similar muscles without the same intensity and the same load. Now, if you can do that quite easily, you can then superset them, which would be, your pull-ups without any rest in between. Then you move on to the incline rows, or the bodyweight rows essentially. That, by reducing the rest, increases the intensity, which makes it harder. But yeah, cool. Right, moving on to some push work. I'm not going to be doing those because I'm looking more to just get some compounds in and then a bit of movement. I'm not looking for that hypertrophy. But on load the rings, I'm going to do some push work with some dips. Should be good. So I'm only going to bring these down so my feet are just off the floor. You could go a bit higher if you wanted to, But really there's not much point because you're bending your legs anyway. There's no point going all the way up unless you are trying to do something with a muscle up where your feet may have to dangle quite a lot. But because my legs are going to be bent, I only speed this high off the floor. Like, yeah, not much at all. That's enough to actually dip. Just going to raise the mechanism up a bit so it doesn't rub on my arm because that's painful. So, point is here is when I'm jumping up, I'm squeezing in and making sure I twist my hands out at 45 degrees for the top position. That's going to increase stability in the top of the rings there and just make it a bit more safe. And also just strengthens your shoulder, the bicep, the elbow. So it's quite beneficial. Making sure I come all the way down 90 degrees, pushing back up, trying to keep nice and stable. And not too bad. Little rest there. Now after you've done your dips, if you want again more hypertrophy, what you could do, push-ups, really great option, some tricep dips, or lower the rings and do tricep extensions where you're leaning on the rings, extending out, and then again, want more intensity, superset. Yeah, really good job, just kind of focus a little bit more on the chest and on the triceps there to finish up. Right, now something we'll be doing for the lower body is the knees over toes method. I won't go too far into it, you can search them up if you want, but essentially, very similar to Ido Portal's approach with the iron core set work is to increase the strength of the joints in an extended range of motion. So basically knees over toes with squats and lunges. You gradually build up to it and I found amazing results so far, especially with my right knee. Severe patellar tendonitis from doing parkour with bad landings, but it's incredible now. So I'm just doing that. Won't go too far with it, but basically tibialis work, some calf work, you know, gastrocnemius and soleus work, and then I'll be doing some squats and lunges. So yeah, check those out. Alright, now I'm all done with that. We're going to get moving with some locomotion now. I'm not doing any super complex movement patterns, just keeping to the absolute fundamentals. I want to get some clips for my new training app as well to train my clients with. So I'll be going over those. But yeah, nothing super complex, just a nice and chill one, focusing on being nice and slow and just to form with it. Pass my wrist as you feel the pressure change onto your shoulders. I'm leaning into that and then further out. I'm leaning into the shoulders to shift some weight and create some room for my torso. Do the exact same step. I step out left, put my right foot through, back in hand, bit easier. I can hold this low position here, right? There. The higher up you can step, the better the mobility in the hip. I drag my right leg round in a semicircle. I dip it down a little bit to get a bit more range of motion, and that left sweep. So bring it all the way around, I'm going to come around and touch my right hand. I'm going to create an arch. Back is going to be rounded to protect that, that lower back there, keep the abs engaged. Without hips up, the left hand comes on, rotating into that low bridge, knees push forward, hips up, and then rotating out. And there we go. Calisthenics, knees over toes, Ido Portal method and Locomotion. What do we think? How are you now going to structure your workouts considering the tips I gave you and the safest structure to do so? Let me know down below in the comments. Please subscribe and like, share this video so people who may be interested, and leave some video suggestions down below what I should make next. Very curious to hear. Alright, until next time, have a lovely rest of your day. Enjoy.